Yeah, go for it.
Right. Hello, my name is Tom, obviously. I'm doing a brief introduction to Sails.js, which is a real-time MVC web framework based on Node, Express, and Socket.io. So what is Sails.js officially? Sails.js is based on Node. For those of you who don't know what Node is a web server based on the Google's JavaScript runtime. Express is a small, lightweight web framework for Node.js, and Socket.io is Apple's orientation of WebSockets. It's very similar to Ajax, but you're doing client-to-server data transmission back and forth. So yeah, Sails kind of joins all those together and wraps them up all quite nicely. Brings some things, cool new things to the table. So it has its own ORM called Waterline. This supports any database and also supports like local stuff as well. Sails.js is 100% JavaScript, so there's no context switching. This could be handy for like teams of developers and stuff. Has powerful associations. So you could assign models to different databases, and your associations that you've set could still work with each model, and that would work perfectly. It has auto-generated REST APIs, which I'll get into a bit later. WebSockets built in, and it has security policies, a bit like defining routes, but instead you just allow certain users, or you can just check in the session to see if there's any users, if there's a user ID being set, or anything for authentication and stuff. It's front-end agnostic, which means you can use Angular, Backbone, or Ember. It doesn't matter, it still will work. And its asset pipeline is based on Grunt. So yeah. So you need Node.js to install Sails. It's just you use the Node package manager for that, and it's just a fairly simple command. Anybody who uses Node would know this. It's there on the screen. So I must apologise. This talk is going to be fairly quick. I was meant to be showcasing my Ludum Dare project over the weekend, but I kind of, due to family commitments and stuff, I didn't finish it in time and everything. So I just thought, well, I'll do some live coding instead. So yeah, okay. So I'm just going to walk you through like creating a really basic Sails app and connecting up WebSockets with it.
Can you make the text a little bit bigger?
Can I make the text
in the terminal?
I could.
Command plus.
Yeah.
Command plus.
Yeah.
That's good. That's cool.
Let's go on the screen.
There we go.
Okay, so to create a new Sails app, you just type in Sails new test, and well, test is my name of the app, so it's just Sails new app name. You then need to cd into that directory. And then this is the cool part where, well, I think it's cool anyway. So Sails has scaffolding, and you basically can scaffold a JSON API really quickly. And so if I just do Sails generate API user, that would generate me a model, a user model, and a user controller. So I could technically have an app going right now without actually really writing any code. So if I just do Sails lift, which starts the Sails app, this is just asking me what I want to do with my databases. I'll just say that I want to wipe it at the moment. This isn't actually connected up to any databases, it's just storing it locally. So now if I go into my web browser and just go to localhost port 1337, it will load up a bare bones Sails app. With this, if I just go to the user, it will just return an empty JSON API, array, sorry. So let's just create a user really quick with the attribute name and Tom. So that just returns a JSON object of the user which I created. It's timestamped and it has its own unique ID. So yeah, this is working via a Blueprint API. It's all on the Sails website with all the methods that you can use, but you can find users and stuff like that as well. So like if I wanted to find the user named Tom, which has already been built, I'd find it and just return all the users that have the name Tom. So yeah. So I'll just get into a little bit of Socket.io. Socket.io is already connected, apparently. Yeah, when I've done this, I can get that to work properly. But what Socket? Okay, I'll just do this. So I'm just connecting to the server via the client. Just equals. So with that, I can just do a GET request to the server using Socket.io. Say if I want to get all the users as a JSON object. It's going to return me a JSON object of all the users. As I said, this is a really quick talk. That's essentially all I had prepared for that bit. So would I use Sails in production? I probably wouldn't at the moment because it still needs to mature a little bit more. The documentation for it is a bit vague at the moment. They're still building that up and everything, but it's very similar to Ruby on Rails. Essentially, but I like the fact that it has Socket.io built on it and it's 100% JavaScript. So yeah, that's my talk. These are free resources if you want to go check them out. And any questions?
So have you used Sails for any projects yet?
Not any like major projects as to such. So I've kind of tinkered with it for a bit, and I just thought it'd be cool just doing like a short talk on it.
How did you find it compared to other frameworks you used?
I prefer Rails a lot in terms of some respects, but I like the fact that it's just got all this stuff built in, and it's really quick just to set up something. So yeah.
Are there generators for sort of just standard views and things as well as just the APIs?
Not that I know of, but I'd have to check it out. So there's also testing for it, so you can use like is it Jasmine for the JavaScript testing? Yeah, you can use that, but I don't really do testing. I haven't used Sails enough to do the testing part of it. So
And I saw it had an EJS file. Does it do provide different templating options?
So it's got a config folder in its. It kind of has like its own directory structure. So it's in the config folder. You can pretty much like configure everything to do with Sails here. So everything's there, which you can configure. It's all in the documentation, but they quite like to self-documentate things in the code with giant comments and stuff, but they're kind of abstracting that out at the moment and putting it all onto their website. So,
Okay, cool.
It seems pretty complete. Is there anything that you thought was missing from it, or anything that you've added to it?
it's only like the documentation which is holding me back from using it at the moment, because otherwise I would kind of use this for a couple, I know a few projects in the future which I've got, I would quite happily use this with. But it's just the documentation isn't there, so I've been even stuck on a few socket IO problems because I tried doing the loop and dare project in it. I only done like a couple hours, but it was a bit painful trying to, because they've added like a lot of helper methods to socket IO, and that wasn't documented at all, so it's a bit hard trying to figure all that out. But yeah.
Do you do much? Would you think of Node as being something you'd use in production, not Sails necessarily, but other
Node
nodes?
Express, definitely, yeah.
Yeah. Thank you very much.